Hello and welcome to another video. As I said, this would be a whole week dedicated to Paphiopedilum orchids. There's been a while since I last recorded videos about Paphiopedilum. These are lovely orchids, very easy to grow in most cases, and we can find them very affordably locally as well. So for these and many other different reasons, I do have to repot some of them. This one is on the haul that I showed you how I buy and choose orchids locally, and I showed you that I bought one orchid that was a Paphiopedilum, so that's the one here. This one is my lovely Paphiopedilum delenatii or Delanachiodelenatia. That's a species from Vietnam. I think I've mentioned this one in other videos. And I'm not going to talk specifically about Paphiopedilum care. I do have videos about it. I link them down below. I've just posted another video about some advantages of growing Paphiopedilum orchids. I will also link it down below. But today I need to repot these two. And why I'm repotting them together? First of all, this one is dehydrated. That the species, the Delanachiodelenatia, it is dehydrated. The leaves are a little bit floppy. I have been growing these on this clay pot for maybe 2 to 3 years now at this point. It's been a long time in here. The mix is old. I don't think it's very happy at the moment. And it's growing a new fund, and I want to provide the best care possible to this plant. The second one, that's the one that I bought locally in the garden center. It also needs to be repotted. This mix is very old, it's growing large, super large funds, and I need to get to this plant. So I will show you how I do about my Paphiopedilums, how I repot them, which mix I use, what to do when you have a new Paphiopedilum, and what I'm going to do with my old Paphiopedilum. So they have a slightly difference, like very small difference in culture. I will explore that, and also I will show you when I'm done and some conclusions. I don't think I have the most amazing root system inside this pot, I'm not sure, but we will check together. This one, the same case, it's a new orchid, so again, I have no idea what's going on here. So I thought this would be a very nice video for you to watch if you're curious about how to repot your Paphiopedilum. I hope you enjoy. If you do, please hit the like button, leave a comment down below and follow me here. And subscribe to my channel, it's really important. And let's start. So we are back. I will start with my Delanachiodelenatia. It's full of dust. That's my fault, by the way. Why? Because this one's going to be my easier repotting. If you don't know, this orchid, it's a lithophyte. So usually it grows on moss, on top of rocks, and it is used to a little acidic type of mix. For this reason, I decided to pot it in full sphagnum moss this time. It will be in a plastic pot, not in this terracotta pot, and it's going to be full in moss. If you can hear some of the background noise, all the windows are open, it's pretty hot here today, and I live in a big city, so let's see how the root system have developed in the last years. I will start cutting these dried flower spike. If you don't know, although Paphiopedilum look like Phalaenopsis, they are not monopodial, they are sympodial. So they do grow new funds. That's the new growth, so like this one is the new growth in this case. So it's like the new plant that will develop, and when it becomes completely mature, it will produce a flower spike. My Delanachiodelenatia takes like 1.5 years to rebloom usually. They are known to be a slow grower type of orchid, so they don't bloom all the time. However, as I said in my last video, there are some hybrids that bloom much more often than others. And some of the hybrids are known to be... Oh, we have mold in here. Oh, can you see that we have mold in here? I think you can see. I try to zoom in, but these are mold, I think, or these are the slow release fertilizer, the stick pesticide. I'm not sure. I think it could be the stick pesticide. Maybe. Let's remove these. All of this mix. It was a mix of bark and moss that I potted it last time. Another curiosity about Paphiopedilum is that, the ones that are... This is lithophyte, but most of them are semi-terrestrial like this one. So their roots, they are not adapted to grow in air, are attached to trees and tree trunks like Phalaenopsis, Cattleyas, and so on. They are a little bit different. Their roots need to be inside the mix. It will grow inside the mix. So all the mix there was very, very old. I knew that. And that's the old part. As you can see, I have some dried sheets in here. Very, very old. I'm gonna cut that. And what else I can show you here? The new growth, I don't know if you can see from there, but that's a root. It's a root tip that is growing from the new fund. And I need this one to develop. It has a root tip, so it's growing. And as we do with other orchids, when you notice that the portion of the root is completely mushy, such as this one, that means that this root is dead. So we touch the root and you will feel it. I have a few dead roots. It's not the most healthy orchid. And I knew that. If you're thinking like, oh, I knew because it's becoming dehydrated very, very fast. And that I haven't taken care of this as I should. It sits on my toilet near my bedroom because they don't need, it blooms even with the northern exposure, so it receives it's a low light plant, so it doesn't receive much light, just a little bit of light, and it's capable of blooming even not being exposed to any bright light. So I keep it there because I didn't have space before, and I said, oh, since it doesn't need to be under my growing lights, I saved the space of my growing lights for other orchids. And I kept this one there, and sometimes I can see it's not super happy because it was on my clay pot, but even so it managed to bloom, and it was in a massive pot. I will pot it in a smaller pot to save up space, and also I'll be able to keep an eye on it. I can add it, place it under my shelf near myself. So I think it will be easier for me to look after it. It doesn't need to go to a massive pot. It won't produce a ton of roots out of nowhere. You know, the root system takes a while to grow, as the plant takes a while to grow. And because of its habitat and how it grows naturally, I will pot it in moss, as I said, and I have the slow release fertilizer. No, sorry, I have here the stick pesticide. So I'm grab a pot and let's repot it. So I found this pot. This one is 5 centimeters. I think it will be perfect for my orchid. I don't need, as I said, a ton of space. So I start with my layer of sphagnum moss at the bottom. Then I will add this stick pesticide. I didn't have issues with thrips with my Paphiopedilum. However, I did have issue with another sort of insect that I don't know the name, but you can see them below the leaves. You find like a brown spot, and they were destroying my Paphiopedilums. I'll place the name down here. I don't have any on this one, thanks God, but I added the stick pesticide to all my Paphiopedilum because of this specific insect. It was munching non-stop in all my Paphiopedilum. It enjoys the Paphiopedilum leaves so much, but thrips in general won't go to Paphiopedilum. At least in my house was the thrips last option. Paphiopedilum is not the kind of orchid that thrips loves to munch on. It's not a top of their food preference. You know, it won't be on their menu. If they have a menu in a restaurant, I'm sure thrips won't put Paphiopedilum in there. I need to make sure the whole root system is inside my pot. You don't need to compress your moss. You can leave some air in between because we don't want to suffocate the roots, even that this one is a little tight. But I want to cover the root tip that was coming from the new growth, because if it's not completely covered, it will probably, usually with Phalaenopsis, we have to take care and be careful how we bury the leaves, because we don't want to rot the stem. In this case, we can have some crown rot or stem rot as well, but we need to have it, we need to have the root touching the mix, otherwise it won't grow. So that's what I'm doing here. And I would do add a layer of bark at the top. So this is my American hybrid, and American hybrids is a type of complex hybrids in Paphiopedilum. They are very affordable. You find them in lots of garden centers across the globe. They are easier to look after and to grow than some of the species. So many species were used to create this one. For that reason, apparently, it's going to be a little bit easier for you to look after. Since lots of Paphiopedilums are terrestrial or semi-terrestrials, I'm not going to treat it exactly as an epiphyte orchid, but I won't pot it differently as well. I'm not going to pot it in soil or any sort of thing similar to this. I will pot in my usual mix of bark and sphagnum moss. However, I will use a little bit more moss than bark, because these orchids needs more. Remember that some of the parents can be terrestrial, so it needs a little bit more of humidity around its roots, and it doesn't grow in air. We don't have any roots that are growing amazingly out of the pot. So wow, this one has a nice root system. The mix is very, very old. You can see some sign of mold in here. Love the root system of this one. Maybe it is much easier to look after this one than after other Paphiopedilums. As you can see, it's potted full in bark. It has a layer of moss on top. I don't know why, but everything that is inside the pot is bark. And even so, it has a nice root system, although the mix is very, very old. So some Paphiopedilums can be grown in bark only, but I think, remember, this one is a complex hybrid. So it's probably a little bit easier and more versatile to grow than species that grow in a specific environment. So we need to research a little bit. So that's why I want to show you the difference between them. I'm just removing all the mix, the old mix from the root system, as I would do with any orchid. You be careful with the roots. We don't want to distress this orchid more than what it is already stressed. I have a new growth coming here. I think you can see. This is the newer growth, and it's also pushing out a new fun. Super nice, very vigorous orchid. I think this one is a large one. So if I compare this one with my Delanachiodelenatia, I think this one can be potted in a little bit larger pot than that one. Don't need to be a massive pot. I don't imagine these orchids growing and the root system taking out the pot like an Oncidium, for example, or a Phalaenopsis. This will probably not happen with Paphiopedilum. They are much slow than these other orchids. So, because this is an old mix, I don't know what was present in this pot and this mix. I will rinse this root system and I will spray some hydrogen peroxide 3% to kill any snails, snail eggs, or something that could be present on here. But I will do the same thing. I will rinse, I'll check to see if you have any dead roots, and then I will spray the hydrogen peroxide. I will show you very, very quickly. Okay, so now I have here my pot. I have no idea how many centimeters this has, but it seems 5 inches, so it should be like 12 centimeters, I imagine. I'm not sure. Anyway, let's see if it fits. I think it should fit just right. Perfect. As I said, I don't need to provide a bigger pot because these plants, they will grow slow. That's for sure. I will do the same thing, but in here, instead of, let me find this slow release, no, gosh, I keep saying slow release fertilizer. No, that's my pesticide, the secret side. The only difference between the other one is this one, is that I will add some bark as well. I will layer with a little bit of bark. It was potted in bark before. Oh my gosh, it won't fit if I keep layering. It was potted in bark before and it was doing great. So I don't think it will mind the bark. I think it will be fine like that. I have 2 new growths. My Delanachi doesn't have too many growths. It has only 1. And that one, it will take a long time to mature and grow. Just to let you know, usually Delenatis are known to be the only Paphiopedilum, at least that I know of, that has some sort of fragrance. However, I am a little bit unlucky. Mine is not fragrant. So when you buy, if you look for Delenatii or Delanachiodelenatia because of the fragrance, bear in mind that maybe you'll be lucky enough to have a fragrant one. So some Delanatii are not fragrant, and that's going to be the case of yours. So now I'm gonna place the last layer of bark. I have this video here to remind me whenever has passed 2 years or so, because I am not on top of them because they are so good plants to grow. They usually don't give you too much headache. I simply forgot about some of them, especially about repotting them and keeping them in a new mix. My fault, totally. There are some part of the mix that are not going down. Here I use this scissor to just poke through the mix. Remember that these ones are not epiphytes, so although my climate's not extremely hot, I don't want to leave too much air pocket in here because honestly I have no idea how this plant will deal with that, especially that we have so many Paphiopedilums that live in soil, so I don't want to stress the root system too much. You need to be careful when we play around with the root system. Keep doing that, and I'm gonna come back here with my orchid fully repotted, both of them, to conclude this video. I have here my 2 beautiful orchids. As I told you, they have different requirements. Although they are both Paphiopedilums, sometimes we can have plants with a little bit of certain differences that may give us the opportunity to experiment or try different things. In this case here, with my beautiful Delanachiodelenatia, I potted in full moss because in nature, sometimes that's how it happens. And when we have a complex hybrid, we can play a little bit more. I have here an orchid that's a larger orchid root producer. It's also pushing out 2 new growths. So it was potted in full bark. It tells me that it is used to this environment and it kept growing. So I could give it, provided a little bit more air than what I'm giving to this one. I have a longer history of this one, so I know this orchid much better than I know this one. But because it's a hybrid, I believe it can be a little bit easier. To conclude this video, I just want to say that Paphiopedilum are very rewarding plants if you enjoy them for the foliage, if you enjoy growing them, and if you have other orchids for you to enjoy the blooms while you wait for these beauties to bloom. They can be a slower grower if compared with other orchids, but there are the hybrids, and some hybrids are sequential bloomers and some hybrids bloom yearly for me. So it depends on your preferences, but they are so exotic and so beautiful that I think you should try. And also, you can see, even when I neglected a little bit, I was not neglected completely. I was watering and it was placed near me, but I was not the best mother, I would say. It should look better than this. Even so, it's still growing and managed to bloom for me. So it's an amazing orchid for beginners, and I think their flowers are so gorgeous that if you enjoy orchids, why not to try a Paphiopedilum? If you find it locally and maybe with a cheaper price, like this one, why not? If I've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, leave a comment down below, subscribe to my channel. And that's it. I'm going now, and I will have some different content for you in the following days. Bye!